for having me back on. I feel like there's been a bit of tension, but I'm glad to be back.
It's okay. I prayed on it, and the Prophet Muhammad came to me, and he told me, there's nothing that can't be forgiven, and forgiving is the most virtuous thing you can do.
Yeah.
And so, from me to you, alhamdulillah, mashallah that you're here, and we're all going to be better for the future.
I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's start.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Action. Okay. All right. Welcome everyone to the weekly review. I'm your trusted host, Oliver Butin, and beside me I got my temporary co-host, Axel Sublum.
Thank you so much for having me, Axel Sorblum. Hopefully not so temporary co-host.
Well, we'll see about that. We'll give the folks a vote at the polls at home.
Yeah. Yes, of course we will. And so the movie we will be reviewing today is Vice. I didn't catch the director. Who might it be?
Sergio Leone.
Sergio Leone, a titan of the genre. And this movie, it had a lot of themes, a lot of good themes, and it had a lot of heart. It really did. I thought it was really cool of the Vice President, Dick Cheney, to actually play himself in the movie.
Dick Cheney didn't play himself in the movie. It was Patrick Bateman playing
Patrick Bateman?
Yeah.
From American Psycho?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to overstep, but I think as the resident film expert,
shut up a minute, okay? Just for a second. Okay, what I really want to talk about is something important here, which is what this movie is really, the important part of this movie, which is autistic representation, something I've talked about before on the show, but, I think really is beautifully done in this movie, taking such a wonderful character like Dick Cheney and, who is so autistic in nature and representing him to the fullest. And, this is in a great time for autism in general, with the Riddler and so many others and the Joker. It's a wonderful time for autism, and it's wonderful to see a show like this, really taking that in stride.
Yeah, kind of a related point. I think that, this... I think that this movie, it really encapsulates a whole genre. We, as you mentioned, have the classics like the Riddler and Joker movies. Things like classics of the genre like The Hobbit or Thomas the Tank Engine. Those movies. Things like Schindler's List. Both Cars 1 and 3.
I've never seen Schindler's List.
Really? Maybe it'll be the movie for next week's review.
I make the decisions, okay?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Well, another great thing about this movie is its wonderful spin that it puts on history. And it's so powerful to me that it shows the brighter side of things. And there's a quote that I want to say that's in this movie that I think is so powerful to me because it's within every tragedy there's opportunity, and that's just beautiful. And it really shows that where some people might see two hijacked jets flying into the World Trade Center, Dick Cheney saw an amazing way to strengthen American power abroad. And that's always just looking on the brighter side and forging a new tomorrow. And that's really what this movie's about. And that's important to me, I think, as an American and a patriot.
Yeah, definitely. I fully agree. And this this movie had a lot of themes, and one of them was that the vice president kept having heart attacks. And so I think that through his numerous heart attacks, people in the lamestream media might try to convince you that the solution to heart attacks, that there's a cure, that you need to stop eating processed foods and drink less beer, things like that. But the vice president, he didn't listen to that advice. Instead, he was a trailblazer. He forged his own path, and he continued to eat those meats and drink those drinks. And the heart attacks, they kept on rolling, but he just rolled with those punches. And I thought he really, in that, embodied the American spirit. I think that we were really, really lucky as a country to have him during such a terrible, turbulent time as the 11th of September attacks in 2001.
Yeah. I mean, I actually had a family member who died on 9/11.
I'm sorry to hear that. I knew someone, but not a family member.
Yeah. Well, they weren't blood. It was my cat, but they were, blood to me. You know, it was terrible. I mean, I was sitting there at home on the news, just ash and tragedy and horror and fire and brimstone, and there I was, and my cat just throwing up on the ottoman, and blowing chunks. And what do you do?
Yeah.
It was a turbulent time, and so
I can imagine.
I took him to the vet, and there's nothing that they could do. They said it was like an overexposure to pneumonia, but there's nothing that the vets could do. There's only you do everything you can for some people, to heal them naturally, and sometimes it's not enough.
Sort of a bit of a repeat with the last one.
Hey, watch it. Okay, let's just rate it.
All right, fair enough. All right.
I'll give this movie 7 out of 10 ottomans. Yeah.
I'd give this movie a 3 out of 4 planes.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We know there may have been some difficult subject matter in this one, but I think it's stuff we all need to hear. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
You don't say the last thank you for me, okay? I get to say thank you last, okay?